Get You Some Radio.
You know that old phrase, I've got a guy, you've got a guy that knows a painter, you knows a plumber, knows a builder, you're the guy. Yeah. So I've got a guy, and you can actually start piecing people together. So if you're the focal point of the community, like even our tagline is the where the community comes together. Yeah. Is you can now, I need a plumber, God, my house broke. Great. I've got a guy. Yeah. And suddenly you're their guy. Yeah. And people trust and respect because you've not been there to sell them. You've not been there. You're just hosting something that makes them feel better and it is passionate to them. It's pretty simple at that point. Your negotiations are a little faster. Your customers are a little more comfortable. It's got that country feel to it, even though we're in the outskirts of a multi-million person city. And that's the whole point, though, is making it comfortable.
And now, your weekly dose of inspiration, perspiration, and just the right amount of bull defecation. The Get You Some Radio Show with your
Giddy up, welcome to the Get You Some Radio Show. I am your host, Terry Lancaster. And in case you hadn't heard, we got the brand new way to subscribe. All you have to do is text Terry, Terry, text Terry to 444-999. You'll be an automatic subscriber and you will never miss a single episode. On today's show, man, I'm pretty excited. I'm always excited, but really, this guy, JP Ostiguy, he's killing it in Toronto. He in his spare time, this is what he does. He hosts networking events all around Toronto. He's doing training events everywhere. He runs a networking consulting corporation, how to engage, and he runs a car dealership. So he's got a little bit going on, and he's such a big deal networking. He's gotten it so wired down, honed in. He's actually got his salespeople, every salesperson at the dealership level, hosting their own networking events in whatever networks they belong to and bringing them into the store, inside the store, having their events there, making friends and selling more cars. That sounds fantastic. We're going to hear all about it right after this with JP Ostiguy.
Make more friends. Sell more cars. 97% of car shoppers say they would prefer to know their salesperson before they ever set foot in the dealership. People buy from people they know, like, and trust, and they refer their family and friends to people they know, like, and trust. Visit terrylancaster.org to learn how your sales staff can get more reviews, more referrals, and more repeat business by building better, stronger, more authentic relationships online and in real life. terrylancaster.org.
JP, so how many hours of sleep do you get a night? Let me start there.
Sleep's overrated. It's not, you know what, Terry, like yourself, you've got to put balance in your life. I've got a beautiful young family, but I really love what I do. Passion is purpose. So I find it really fun to help people grow and help community grow faster together. So the networking was just a normal, like a really cool thing to do.
And that's what I love, and that's actually what I try to accomplish. I can't really tell when I'm working and when I'm not working. That's really my whole goal in life, is to never be able to tell the difference between I'm at work and when I'm not at work. I just want there to be one big thing.
That's exactly it. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
There we go. So tell us about. I'm fascinated by this idea of you got the salespeople bringing in and hosting their own sales events. Let's start there. How does that work?
Well, I started this whole thing when I took over the dealership because the marketing dollars were spent. The previous administration had blown the budgets on anything and everything you could think of. And the easiest way to grow your dealership is through your community. So I don't care if I ever sell anyone outside my PMA, my area of obligation. I just want to sell everybody and work with everybody in my community. So I'm really big into helping people grow and like yourself, working with people to make it better and everything else. And I challenged my staff. I said, you all do things in your hobbies. You all have people that you relate to. You all go to events, whether religion or sporting or anything, and you have a community. Why don't you bring your community here and I'll host it? Yeah. So I challenged every single staff member to use their passion, and I'll bring in guest speakers, or I'll set up something. We've got a giant mezzanine that overlooks the showroom that is you're able to use it as like a meeting networking space.
Right.
So I challenge everyone every month to organize one networking event, and I'll pay for it. I'll organize it. I'll speak at it. I'll get other speakers in, And it was like any new, your staff looking at you like you have 5 heads. Like, no.
What language are you speaking, brother? What?
Well, you know, when you have someone talk about their passions, like you're passionate about people, Terry, I'm passionate about people. When you have someone that just starts and rambles and you see those eyes light up, and there you go. That's what you're going to talk about. You say, really? You're going to pay me to talk about this? Yep.
Yeah.
Bring in people. And so I challenge people. I need you to bring in 5 people. We're going to set up upstairs. I'll have water and juices and stuff on up there, and we're going to talk. And we're going to find speakers that are in your field and address your people. And so I did the first one. I held the first Engage Networking one upstairs, and it went off really well. We had 35 people show up. We talked about employment and how to use networking to build employment. And I was also hiring at that point, so it was a really good mix.
There you go. Well, that's the great thing. A lot of this can serve dual purposes. In fact, it's designed to. So
exactly. Well, you know, since 85% of jobs are filled through networking, why would I not hold a networking event? So the next person came to me and I'm a little nervous about public speaking. I said, what if you didn't have to speak? What if you just organized? She said, that's great. She was really into horseback riding. She has a horse locally. And so she put the word out, like, we're going to talk about how to care for your saddle, some local events coming up, how to pair your horse. I was like, great. She brought in 5 people and they had a great time. We brought in one of her coaches who spoke for 45 minutes on the equestrian sport and how to take care of their stuff. We brought in a saddle maker because we have a local saddle bridle shop by our dealers. So they came in and spoke and got a chance to market themselves. And everyone left with a really good time. How did that work for us? Well, people started looking at, well, they're part of my community. They're helping me out. Maybe we should give them some business. So we picked up 3 new service customers and we sold 1 Titan from it.
From the horse event?
From 5 people.
From the horse event.
Yeah.
And how many people were there?
5.
That's
so,
awesome.
And the next person is very big in his community at the church, in the Asian church. And I said, why don't you bring people in? If you want to be on a Sunday afternoon, bring it in and do Bible study or whatever you want to do. So he organized it. We had 25 people out and we had a great time. As much as I'm kind of an atheist myself, but the passion that he had for this and he had their pastor speak, and it was a really big, it brought the community together because people who couldn't make it to church now could come to this kind of social event afterwards. And they talked about things that were important to them.
Yeah.
And it changed his outlook on what his job was. He's now more outgoing. He's very excited to come to work knowing that he can share his passion at the dealership, right? We're not standing on anyone.
Yeah. And it's just a question of finding your tribe, finding your people. You're not, and that seemed to me, it's a lot easier than, you know, handing out business cards or sitting around the store waiting for someone to come in the dealership looking for a car.
Well, people keep thinking advertising has to be specifically for selling a car, when really, if it involves a community, eventually it's not the fastest way to grow, but it's the most sustainable. Yeah. So we've added, since we started doing this in February, we've done service clinics, we've done everything else in networking types where we ask local business people, local municipal parliament to come in and speak at these things. We do about 4 or 5 a month now.
Right.
And we've added 240 people to our service drive. New customers, never been there before. 240 people now service their cars with us because they like what we're doing in the community.
So how do you get the message out about these, just the social people, your employees doing their own thing? How do they tell everybody, let everybody know?
Well, I spend a little bit of money on advertising, about $500 a month on social. Yeah. I'm part of, I have a couple of different meetups on meetup.com, which is a great avenue. It's once you pay your fee, you can put as many meetups as you want up there. Of course, LinkedIn's a big thing for me. You and I have communicated. That's where we met.
I think that's where we met, right?
On LinkedIn. And then their local community, where their Facebook sites and everything else can grow. Those little things. If someone was going to start off, I'd have them reach out to the local sports team to do a fundraiser like a car wash and then have a meetup out afterwards.
All right.
Yeah.
So you've got new people coming through, you've got people showing up at the event, and you said it's not necessarily the fastest way to sell a car, but it's going to build your network, it's going to build your buying pool. But you know, you got to stay in touch with them. You got to let them, you got to keep reminding them that you're there when they need you. How do you guys, once you make a new contact, someone comes to the dealer shop and say there were, 5 people ended up at the horse show and the one person who didn't buy a car, how do you stay in touch with that person?
So we use a really simple program called Auto Agent. You just put the customer in there and it sets reminders for you to follow up with them and gives us suggestions what you can follow up with. So I type in there what they should say. I just, it blasts it out to the salesperson. The salesperson will reach out. Hey, I just wanted to thank you for coming to the networking event. What would you change about the next one? How would you do this to better the community? We don't talk about the car or the service at all. We talk about what they can do with their community, and they respond back huge. And then they told 2 friends, and they told 2 friends. So we just use a very simple CRM that I just type in a note, and then they reach out to those people with that note. That has nothing to do with the dealership.
So the CRM, how do they respond? Is it email, text, phone call, video message?
Well, I like video message. Some people aren't comfortable with video yet, but we do email blast. Everyone gets a phone call. A lot of the people who are in their own community will text, and that has a 90% open ratio, 98% open rate.
Right.
So it's really simple. I do a personal video to thank you for coming and supporting the dealership and supporting my staff. Out to everybody, that blasts out to everybody. And again, it gets a really warm feeling. And people look at me in my group and think I'm crazy, that I'm wasting energy, that I should be spending more time selling cars. But when I start to do double digits and start building up and my service drive gets busier, this is all a result of it. It's a long-term plan, not just a short-term goal.
But you're seeing results immediately. So you immediate sales that you can rise to. What's your cost per sale on one of these coming through? $5?
What's like 2 cases of water and a case of pop?
Yeah.
We have the building open anyway. It's not after hours.
Right.
So, it is what it is. It actually adds to the show. Like having the private sale era is kind of off, but it adds to the energy because people hear the talks and see you up in the mezzanine and see people gathering. Well, what is up there?
Yeah.
And we're doing a community event. Oh, what kind of community event? So suddenly we're having conversations with customers who I'm just looking. So, yeah.
So, and that's what a lot of people, you hear a lot of people talking about social selling and social media and using that. And they think of it, they concentrate on the selling and the media part of it. But really all of it is about being social. And the whole point of being social is starting conversations. So that's really all you're doing is having a chance to start a conversation that happens before the conversation about buying a car.
Yeah, and our referrals have gone up too because you really got to talk to this guy.
Yeah,
that's the fun part of it. And you can spend a lot of money killing yourself advertising outside of your area of obligation for the brand. But why? Every 5 kilometers or 3 miles you go outside of your area, it costs you $100. So in gross. So why would I do that? If I can just work with everyone in my community, I'll never have to go hungry again.
And you're a Stouffville Nissan there in Ontario. How many Nissan stores do you have, say, within 100 kilometers of your store?
100 kilometers, 34.
34 Nissan stores within 100 kilometers and
70 miles. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 30 miles for my American friends. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, that's good stuff. You talked about we talked about getting into the conversation early. What are the advantages of talking to them before they're shopping? What's the advantage of getting on their shopping list before they start shopping?
It's a great question. They like, trust, and respect you by that point because you're not trying to sell them anything. So, that old phrase, I've got a guy, you've got a guy that knows a painter, knows a plumber, knows a builder, you're the guy. Yeah. So I've got a guy, and you can actually start piecing people together. So if you're the focal point of the community, like even our tagline is where the community comes together.
Yeah.
Is you can now, I need a plumber. God, my house broke. Great. I've got a guy. Yeah. And suddenly you're their guy. Yeah. And people trust and respect because you've not been there to sell them. You've not been there. You're just hosting something that makes them feel better and it is passionate to them. It's pretty simple at that point. Your negotiations are a little faster. Your customers are a little more comfortable. It's got that country feel to it, even though we're in the outskirts of a multi-million person city. And that's the whole point, though, is making it comfortable.
And making it comfortable and making it fast, because what would you say are people's number one complaint about the way we sell cars?
Oh, it sucks.
It sucks because
it takes so long.
It takes so long.
Time is the commodity we can't replace. if I waste someone's time, I wasted their life. There's that life expectancy is shortened. Yeah. So why can't I make it better? Why can't I make it more fun? Why can't I get the staff involved? And that's what we've done.
Yeah. And the great thing is it's a self-fulfilling promise, because if you start making these relationships with the intention of improving the car buying process, by making it faster, you've automatically improved the car buying process. So now you sold them faster. How do negotiations go when you already have the know, like, and trust factor built in?
Well, we're in a very, very dense market, but it does make it a little easier. Like, people are going to hold you to be honest anyway. They're going to make sure that you're being honest to them, and you're not going to, rip them off. But when you're comparable to two dealers, you're going to win because you've given them that better experience,
right?
And a non-pressure experience too, because they know them. Like, well, are you going to leave for $2? $2 total? No, you're right. You've been good to me. I'll take care of you. Even in a very dense Asian market and Indian market that we have around us, it still works well when people complain that I don't like dealing with certain ethnic origins because of their negotiation skills. Well, they all have passions about something.
Right. And that's it. We have to be honest. You have to have a good deal, because everybody knows everything. The internet has got your underwear is out there on the laundry line. You're not hiding anything. So you might as well be completely honest and be completely forthright in a friendly manner, and work with these people. So you work with them faster, negotiations go easier. What happens on the back end? Because I like to talk about, I tell people there's 1,000,001 sales trainers that can help you in that 1 week window right there when you're negotiating. What I want to do is what's happening a year before that, when you don't know these people before they start shopping, and what's happening a year later. Because in the car buying, the deal is 9 out of 10 a year later, they can't remember the name of the salesperson.
That's because they haven't done their job.
They haven't done their job.
Yeah. A week before the lease is up. Hey, you remember me? No, I have no clue who you are.
So what happens after that? If you got this relationship, how do you maintain that relationship on through the buying cycle? And
that's a great point, because I think a lot of people miss this. They've done their job, they got paid, and then 4 years later they call the guy up again. So we mandated the day after the person picks up their car, we call them, make sure they got home safe, and nothing else. Not talk about survey, not talk about anything else. At the end of the week, we call them again and just make sure that we offer a second delivery. If anything doesn't make sense, if the technology or anything doesn't work, we'd love to see you back. No problem at their time. And then every 3 months after that, we do a written letter, a handwritten letter, an email, a personalized video, and a call. So every 3 months, you're rotating on another type of medium.
Yeah.
And, or text. Just thinking about you, thought you were doing well. Like, Terry, you are the god of sending thank you notes, and I love your notes.
And well, CRM says every 3 months, brother. Who am I to argue with the CRM?
There you go. Every 3 months or 4 months on the outset.
Yeah.
Everyone follows up, and that's what makes our customers. When someone has a friend looking for a car, you know what? I've got a guy, and this is what they did for me. And they're going to be so passionate about telling them how they were treated and how they made them feel that people come back, right?
You mentioned that you mentioned that some folks in your group look at you like you got two heads, and you mentioned when you first started talking about this with the salespeople, they looked at you like the puppy dog. They get the head tilt going on, and what are these words he is saying?
Yeah.
So tell us about the pushback that you got specifically from the salespeople. What were their arguments against it? How did you convince them to get it done? And what do they think now?
Well, it's really simple. I would love to say it's a democracy. It probably isn't as much, but here's the chance. What we're doing isn't working. If you give me an attempt at doing this properly, you put in all your energy, it doesn't work, I won't ever ask you to do it again. So some people did it to shut me up.
Yeah.
This isn't going to work. It's going to be brutal, but they have to give 100% effort.
All right.
If it didn't work, I won't ask them again. So far, I've only had one person it didn't work for because they're a great guy, but doesn't have a lot of passion outside of the car business.
Right.
So we're still trying to find his niche, but with the 5 other people, it's worked great. Right. Yeah. And even service is getting involved now with doing know your car nights and things like that.
I've had that problem before when I'm talking with sales staffs, and part of what I'll do is ask everyone, what do you do? Who do you hang out with? What do you do when you're not selling cars? And a lot of the time it's, well, I don't do nothing but sell cars. So So, and that's just not just a problem from the car business. I mean, that's a problem for them, but ultimately that's a business problem. If your salespeople don't have a social life, that's a business problem for your car dealership.
It's huge. People have to have work-life balance. That's why every month, one of my managers, rotating months, get a weekend off. So every month, someone gets a weekend off. Salespeople, one day a month gets a weekend off. So people can have family time. You know, I'm not ruthless. I've got 2 young daughters. I've got a beautiful wife. I want a life outside of this. That's why I'm working to support them. But they respect you a lot more and are willing to work harder when you know that you've got their back. So once we installed that trust was there, asking the networking events was only really simple. I had done a couple first, and they saw a lot of people coming in, and they saw people having conversations afterwards. You know, and it's really simple, and it's a different way and the least expensive way to grow your portfolio.
Yeah. So tell me what the salespeople say about it now.
Some of them ask, "Can I do 2 this month?" Can I do 2? I said, absolutely. What your topic's going to be. I make them do a business plan, exactly what they want to accomplish, and that's not salesy, and it can't be the same people marketed to all the time. So they have to expand their network. I don't want 5 to be 5 all the time with the same 5 people being social. I want it to be 5 to 10, 20 to 30. Right. So what are they going to do to expand that? Who are they going to talk to? What topics are they going to cover? And what do you want the actions to be outside of selling a car? Yeah. And, you know, we help them with that, but 2 of them are really engaged. They want to do them as much as possible. One of them has taken their passion outside the dealership and works with their own hobby, which is horse riding, and they took that right to the barn. So that's great to see, because now they're expanding outside of my realm. Yeah.
Tell me about your other networking events that you do around Toronto.
I own a company called How to Engage. It's HAO, the number 2, Engage. My daughter's initials are Harmony, Autumn, Ostiguy, and Halo, Aspen, Ostiguy. So that was a deal with my wife. If I opened my business, it had to be this.
I've been telling everybody that was the Canadian spelling. So.
And the whole idea was I was helping a lot of young entrepreneurs trying to establish themselves and reduce their marketing spend through engagement and networking and focused networking. And my wife finally said, "You're doing it already. Why don't you get paid for it?" So I just started helping people with sales training, but from what to do at a networking event, not being a business card Santa, flying in and giving out our business cards and flying on to the next event. All right. So having deep rooted conversations with a couple people at an event versus trying to meet everybody. Yeah. And that led into more sales training for the business and everything else. So it was a good fit, and I hold about 2 a month now, and it's opened my opportunity up. You know Jason Harris. I do all his emceeing for his events. I speak at his events, and it's gotten me to this whole idea has gotten me in front of Driving Sales University and a couple different big tours in the States to talk about.
All right.
Yeah.
It all sounds like good stuff. Now, if you've watched the show before, if you've listened, if you've ever know anything about the Get You Some Radio Show, we have one question that every guest gets asked, and there's no getting around this. This was guaranteed. Can't avoid it. The question is, this is all great stuff. We're talking about great stuff, but knowledge without action is just entertainment. What's one action step that someone listening to the show today who's in sales, who sells something for a living, whether it's sales or an entrepreneur, whether they work at a car dealership or sell plumbing supplies, what's one action step that they can do today when they put down the phone to start putting this to work in their life?
The action step that you can take right away is, what is your passion? Is it sports? Is it cycling? Is it family? Find outside the dealership, even inside the dealership, what you're completely passionate about, and then go with that. That makes life easier. So if you wanted to hold a networking event, if you're really into customer experience, that's your thing. You want it more than anything else. You want to make someone happy. Look at ideas that you can use that for, and it costs nothing to do. Yeah. So put that in place, make an action plan of what you want to accomplish, and it can't be a sales-driven idea. It can't be, I want to sell more cars from you. That's what's going to happen anyway.
All right.
But focus on your passion. Talk to people who are passionate about it, and make your area a meeting place for it.
Find your tribe, bring them in, and Absolutely. Give them cookies.
Exactly.
Find your tribe, bring them in, give them cookies, 2 bottles of water or 2 cases of water and a case of pop. I love it, man.
Yeah.
All right, brother. If we wanted to get in touch with you, JP, how would anyone get in touch with you?
My cell phone number is 647-888-7300, or my email is jp, no dots, no dashes, at HAO, the number 2, engage.ca.
All right, and I'll get that link. I'll get those in the show notes so everyone can find those. Brother, I appreciate your time. If you're ever in Nash Vegas, if you're ever close by, if there's ever anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to call.
Love your stuff, Terry. Keep up the good work. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Get You Some Radio. You've been listening to the Get You Some Radio Show. Subscribe today at terrylancaster.tv to hear more episodes, win valuable cash and prizes, and get free training to help you create an army of buyers who know, like, and trust you before they've ever even met you. It's a big, wide world, boys and girls. Get out there and get you some.